First up this evening, heavy rain is expected to move into central Louisiana starting tomorrow and continue throughout the weekend, bringing a risk of flooding across the area. And officials say some places could even see 4 to 13 inches of rain over the next several days, which could quickly lead to water covering roads, especially in low-lying areas. Our News Channel 5's Davion Telsey explains.
The Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development is reminding drivers to slow down, stay alert, and avoid driving through flooded roadways.
So in an inclement weather event that involves very heavy rainfall, especially in a short amount of time, what drivers really should keep in mind is the potential for flash flooding.
Louisiana State Police are also urging drivers to use extra caution on the roadways. Officials encouraging drivers.
The problem that we find with standing water or going around barricades is what is beneath the water. What is underneath? What is the current taken away overnight or a long period of time during the duration of that storm? So it's not necessarily that the water doesn't look deep. Is that what happened underneath that water? Is DOTD putting those barricades because there's something that's a hazard underneath that water?
Because we know flash flooding inherently is something that happens very quickly. And so that's why, from a DOTD perspective, our encouragement to drivers is always to avoid driving during those weather events if at all possible.
Officials encourage drivers to check conditions before traveling and use alternate routes when needed as heavy rains move through the state.
And state police urge drivers to monitor the DOTD 511 app or the website for updates and to stay aware of those changing weather conditions.